Hello. This is, I guess, it's part 7B. Um, uh, this is a sort of a cheat sheet, basically on doing the homework 2 on Rails, which is, I think taking the whole thing, it's a tricky, it's a tricky thing. I think we can be reasonably clear in saying that. And I want, one, I'm hoping a couple of things. One, that, with a little bit of help from me, that, it can be slightly less painful, and you can get, some more value out of it. I think also, you may not see it this way, but I think ironically, although these are sort of tricky homeworks, these ones in edX, they are a great chance to practice dealing with getting stuck. Right? And you might say, oh, I don't want to get stuck. I hate getting stuck. But actually, that's the key skill. Remember RASP? We've been talking about it. Read, ask, search, post. Coping with stress. It's all, your ability to function as a software engineer, as a system analyst, is your ability to cope with these difficult situations, work out how to say, right, I'm going to put off that, I'm going to parallel, I'm going to multitask. Anyway, to that end, some of these things, there's some little tricky things in here, and I want to walk you through it, and also point you to some resources, which I think will be really helpful. Anyway, so let's just look. So homework 2, Introduction to Rails. Very important to read, as much of the, supporting text as possible associated with it. So we've talked about GitHub. You sort of know what GitHub is. GitHub is this open source repository where people can stick their projects and version them and have all the different versions. So in this homework here, you're going to clone a GitHub repository or repo. Just got people coming in on Skype there, who I'm going to ignore in a moment. But that's other. I've actually created a Skype chat room for other people doing edX, and they'd be much more forthcoming in terms of asking for help than many of you. Do come in the Skype chat room and ask for help. It's no, I want to shut it down because I don't want to get the nasty beeps. You maybe can't hear them, but if I just sign out there, at least it'll say, "Ah, sigh," and okay. All right, now go away. All right. So we're talking about, this introduction to Rails again. Hopefully from watching the edX lectures, you've got this sense of there's kind of a stack here. They've got a great picture. Actually, so what I've also been doing in the background here, he said, hopefully it will have worked. Here we go. Is what I've done is I've downloaded the PC. What about? Give me the contents. Here we go. This is the book, L's Engineering Long-Lasting Software. I want to get. See, I want to. I don't know. Much as I love the fact that Kindle is on multiple platforms, but I kind of want to go to the contents. Okay, I don't want to see the library. I want to go back to the software. Finally get that out of the way. I want to. Yeah, that's better. Right, table of contents. So we could go and look at the SaaS architecture. That's what I wanted to see here. So just go there. Thank you. Have we got the picture? Oh, no. There we go. This image now that I would like to be bigger and is not bigger. That's where you can sort of see it. So this is this important stack that very important to understand for just like the modern world, web, companies, absolutely everything. So we've got the browser talking to your site. We've got the presentation layer, but basically we're working on this Ruby on Rails. So Rails has this model view controller framework that allows us to basically use relatively small amount of code to deliver great services, and so that Rails system runs on top of Ruby, and we're now reasonably familiar with Ruby. So going back to the it's annoying because the recording thing hides. Yeah, it's a VirtualBox. I want that one. So we're basically being given by the edX guys an existing Rails app that you will have at least fleetingly seen in the edX lectures. One of the things actually to notice as well, which if you're carefully looking at this book, I wonder if this will have the links in it. Where was the first one? Was I finding it? It was in chapter 2, wasn't it? Yes. They have got, so for example, here, I mean, you have had a reading assignment to read this. I do recommend trying to read it. They've got like a screencast. Where is it? Am I going to not find it? Have they not got the screencasts linked to in the book? Here we go. Yeah, this is the description. Oh, there you go. And they've got got a hyperlink. There we go. So, yeah, screencast 211. If I click on that, it's, oh dear, that's really annoying. Is it not actually clickable? That would be, it looks like it has opened over here. Here we go, right. So they've got this Vimeo channel, which is, you know, like a poor cousin of YouTube. And so you've got these videos on here that you can watch here, and it's Dave Patterson. Unfortunately, you can't speed these up. But what this one does going through, as well as you know, going about the VMware install and so on, is it's got like setting things up so that you can actually run the rotten potatoes in your own VMware. And maybe you guys have done this already, but what I particularly wanted to highlight is that if you just click on the SaaS book channel here, they've got 53 videos on here. The most recent ones are these chats, and they've got what's the word? They've got these interviews with the people from Twitter and Google and like all the modern companies, and you know, so that's like absolutely huge. But if you go back there, you can see basically in order, kind of like, so getting started, and then HTML and cookies and CSS and so on. And these screencasts, actually, I feel like they should, ideally, they would be integrated with the main flow of the edX lectures. This is kind of like, feels like important missing stuff. So certainly before trying to start the homework 2, if you're feeling dodgy on any of these areas, as in HTML, CSS, and so on, these would be really good to what up to. They're 2.7.1, 2.8.1. Oh, and even these ones, yeah. This chapter 4, that's something that you should have looked through before trying homework 2. These screencasts, I think, are very, very relevant. They're particularly, you know, not just because they're great insights into Rails and HTML and so on, but they've been designed by the same guys who've written this homework, so you know, it could make your life a lot easier. All right, so we've got this idea. There's an existing app. There's a Rails app that they created. That's the Rotten Potatoes one on the GitHub repository. And so basically, the first step is actually you've got to get it onto your VirtualBox. You're then gonna make sure that it runs. Then you're gonna push it up onto a thing called Heroku, which is a cloud hosting service. Basically, for free, you'll be able to run your own version of Rotten Potatoes, and then you know, you'll need to add a few features to the app. And then you submit the app to them, and then their auto graders will check that it's got the right features in it. Anyway, so they've got this, you know, general advice. You know, Git version control is your friend. Commit frequently. I guess we'll look at that in a minute. Actually, the changes that you need to make are relatively small modifications. Yeah, I mean, I kind of made it through with not so many commits. You might want to commit more. I mean, the challenge here really is whether you're committing or not is being able to roll back to look at earlier versions of your system. So I mean, it's almost, yeah. Anyway, yeah. It's interesting. Well, we'll come to that in a minute. Basically, grading points don't use any JavaScript. I don't imagine that you would. And then yeah, that's sort of, you know, this is how to do the submissions. So anyway, let's. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through this and you know, hopefully help you get started on it and highlight any issues. I've got a list of other potential issues here. I guess things to be clear about here is, so there's GitHub, which is you know, open source, not only open source, but you know, a code hosting service that Armando's put his Rotten Potatoes code on. So the first thing we're going to do here with this command is, you know, we're going to grab. So this is the place on Git where it's got his Rotten Potatoes, and we're going to grab that and we're going to pull that down into our local VirtualBox. So using Git, which is the versioning system, to pull that from GitHub and put it to local. What we're going to be doing once we've got our own version of it is that we're then going to push it, also using Git, back out to Heroku, which is this cloud hosting system, and then that means we'll have a browser, something that's not just running locally, but we'll have something that anybody in principle could see. So let's actually, I'm going to go over here. I've done the homework myself a couple of times. Let's go back here into. Did I make a temp directory here? I did. Yeah. So I've got my homework 1. So let's go here. I'm going to do make dear homework 2. Hopefully that's still visible. I mean, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy and paste out of the first line. I'm going to Control copy, and then into the editor, which of course now, let's bring this over here. I could make this a bit bigger. That wouldn't hurt, would it? Like so. I better get confused. I'm then going to do Control Shift Paste to get that back into there. So Git clone, and basically this should all work. I mean, there really shouldn't be a problem here, because with the VirtualBox, I'm on 0.9.1, the SaaS image, Git is in there already. Assuming you have a network connection, that'll go in there, it'll pull it out. So if I now do ls to look in this thing, we can see, oh, there we go, it's created, or did I not? So this is a ridiculous thing here. What I've done is I created the HW2 directory, and then I checked out in the same directory when I really what I meant to do was cd into HW2. So just to fix that and clean this up, but I'm going to do move HW2. I'm going to hit tab there to get rid of potatoes, and I'm going to move that into caps lock. Move that into homework 2, like so, and hopefully that would mean now if I go to homework 2 that we should have, yes, right, so now we've got the homework 2 bottom down. So what that's done is it's basically copied this GitHub hosted project. So look, there's lots and lots of data in there, and I mean you can in principle go and look at it on GitHub, but you've got all the stuff here. One of the things that I did that you might want to do is try and install a more sophisticated editor. So if we looked last time when we did the Ruby, we've got the gedit thing, and that was fine for individual Ruby files. For this Rails thing, there's this kind of whole layout of files. It's all laid out for you, and you don't have to worry about setting it out, but you do want to be able to navigate it. One of the SaaS book screencasts does kind of work through that, so I won't bother to do that too much here. You can, I'll quickly note, have I got more than one? I think I have got more than one Mozilla editor. It's Firefox over there. I was doing things in there with there's a bit of a discussion there. Yeah, what I can just do quickly here is if I go to Sublime, it's a little bit of a pain to install, but I was quite pleased now that I've got it in there. We talked before in my programming programs about trying to find the right editor. This is going to be a personal choice. It's the 32-bit one that you want if you want to install that in your VirtualBox. You go and do that. You have to unpack it. The thing is, after having unpacked it, you then it's kind of, I don't know if I still got the subtime to how to install HW2 on this thing here is how I needed to follow the instructions here on the command line to get Sublime installed, and I made a little mistake and I fixed it, and I think actually the main thing was I downloaded the 64-bit one first. But assuming that you've got that running, then you can do something like this. Now I'm in the wrong terminal window. If I double click on that, it should show me. Usually if I double click on that, yes, it shows me all the windows. There we go. What I would recommend doing is, if you can get all that Sublime text set up, what you can do is you can type Sublime dot and then even an ampersand there in this window, and what will happen is it will open up the Sublime text editor, which I don't really need that one. And what it'll have, and this is a big, so this is it's sort of in between a full-featured IDE like JCreator or NetBeans or whatever, and just a simple thing like Notepad. It's got basically this folder view down here. I'd love to increase the size of this so you could see it a bit better. I've got preferences there, haven't I? Preferences, font. And it's I'm going to do Control plus. I can make the font. I don't know if I can make those larger. Anyway, you can potentially, it's just you've got a nice layout here now, and you can kind of look. Oh, here's the controllers for my Rails thing, and here are the models, and so on. Look, there's movie and movie controller, and there's certain sort of critical things that you want to be able to move around fast. And if you're kind of dodging backwards and forwards between gedit and some other different things, it can be a bit of a pain. Personally, I think this is where you want to be here. This is actually this file and this file are the two main ones that you're going to be wanting to edit for this homework. Anyway, so let's go back to the homework. I think that was Sublime. You've got Sublime installed. So there, that's just me checking out what I've got now pulled down locally. Now I've done this one already. There are these things called gems, and they're basically Ruby libraries, and there's this nice thing bundle that installs them for us. Now I've installed them already. Hopefully, I think this is not that. No, it's not that. Can I get you to go away? The thing, if I do that, then it goes like. I'm still not getting exactly. No, come back. Okay, there. I want to be here, don't I? That's right. Okay. So then next you would Control Shift paste, bundle install without production. I've done that already. Hopefully that won't take too long there. Yep. Yeah, that was fast because I had them all. It took a bit longer for you. And then so this is some other things that but basically the first part of this homework. There's just you step through. This migrate is gonna create the database that we need with the appropriate SQL tables and so on to support this little movies app. So we run Control Shift paste rake db migrates from the command line there, and that will kind of sort the database out. There you go, and it's told us what it's basically. There's only one thing it's done. It's create tables, movies, and it's created that movies table for us. So that's good. That means that our data, any data that we create through the Rails interface, can be persisted. And then it's like now this seed one will take some basic data for us and stick that in there. So we'll do rake db seed, and then once that's worked, we can do Rails server like so. So rake db seed doesn't tell us anything. Rails server, and once we've done Rails server, it'll tell us it might take a moment. It'll boot this thing called WebBrick, which is this little like pretend tiny little app, and it says there starting development. Actually, that link looks. I don't know. Does 000? Usually, that would be where you would go then. Let's have open another window here. Is you would go to localhost, and this is one of the things that they show in one of the screencasts and go into some more detail. You'll get to this welcome aboard, and in fact the way they've got it set up is that you have to go to the movies thing. Then we see so you should be able this is now a web app running locally from your system, and look, we can say all movies, we can go looking at the movies, we can go backwards, and this is a functioning web app, which I think, I don't know, is that cool? Is that interesting? Maybe you've all seen this kind of stuff before. I mean, let's press on. Anyway, so we've got this. But the important concept to realize is that this is now running locally. You can see here, like when I ran here, it started up this server, and when I'm going to this localhost 3000, I'm basically hitting my local machine. There's no outside wall. I mean, basically, I wouldn't need to, even if I was disconnected from the internet, this would still work. It's just I've got a little program running locally as a web server, and I'm serving this Ruby on Rails app of it. And so what you can actually see here is by default in the development mode, when we get movies, you can see actually there's a little bit of SQL is run there, and it tells other things like it renders the template and other things, checks to put the JavaScript in the right place and this, that, and the other. That's all good, and various things there. And when so I clicked through on an individual movie, and we saw that there was another bit of SQL flying by. So this is potentially a very useful place to be looking to see what if what you hope is happening when you're doing things. Anyway, so going back to this, so that's you should verify that it works properly, and that's good. And then comes this sort of tricky bit with Heroku. So Heroku is this service. They're when we've been talking about the edX guys have been talking about this cloud hosting. They've been talking about Amazon and Google App Engine. Heroku is another cloud hosting service. They have been particularly focused initially on Ruby on Rails. They'll host Django for Python and all sorts of languages now. But they're definitely particularly popular in the Ruby world. So you then go to the Heroku and you need to go and create a free account there. Sign up and do the usual dance there with probably verifying your email address. And so then this is what is potentially the tricky bit, is that you need to follow some of the guidelines of they talk about Appendix A in the textbook, which I haven't actually looked at that. You're going to say table of contents. Can I get to Appendix A from there? Appendix A, using the bookware, something Heroku, deploying to the cloud using Heroku. There you go. So there's some interesting things there. Lots of different ones. I mean, this is basically a place where you can get stuck. It's easy to get stuck here because there's basically, it's not clear through the different bits and pieces exactly what the series of things are to do. I've previously used Heroku, and so the two particular things are one is that there's a authentication issue where that your keys kind of need to be set up, and another one is often you can have failures and you're not sure what's going on, and there's this particular command so you can see what's gone on Heroku. What they have got here is these like help pages for Heroku. So assuming you created an account, you know, and done these things, you've got to sign up for the account. You've got to install the Heroku tool belt, which I've done already, but I guess we'll just go and quickly do that again. So you know, you basically get here a command to install, hopefully by running that. So the other thing is, in order to now, you probably want to get your prompt back. We don't need the what's it called, the little Rails server to be running continuously. So I'm going to type here Control-C and kill that in a little web grip shutdown. Okay, fair enough. I'm going to Control-Shift-V, and this is the command to try and install the Heroku tool belt. And then it's going to ask you for the, so anytime that you want certain scripts to run, there's this like sudo, which means super user. I still forgot what super user do. Super user does stuff, and so it's SaaS. Oops, I've probably spelled the wrong. If you mistype the password, Control U SAASBOOK, and that's going to install that and grabs over. That's fast. Hopefully, it should be very fast because I've already got those things, and it's just saying yes, they're all up to date. Hopefully that will work for you. It's not that fast anyway. But then let's go back. We've opened that one. I didn't need to get started. So then, once you've installed that, you should be able to do Heroku login like so from the command line. Again, make sure that you're inside the HW2 rotten potatoes. So then you will have previously created the Heroku account. So we're going to go Tansaku. That's what is my thing. Install my email address, and then I don't remember what my password is, and then hopefully that will work. And it's, yeah, I think this will certainly work for me the first time around there. What's interesting, see here, is you know, in their example it says something about you could not find a public key, and that doesn't come up for me. That caused errors later on. I found the critical thing here is to do this Heroku keys add. Now I already run this before. When you run this the first time, it should, you know, generate a key, and it might ask you for a password to be associated with the key and so on. But anyway, and so then finally we can get this deploy an application, and we go through to say, well, we're in our Ruby or Rails application there. So remember, that's two links. There's Ruby or Rails. There's Ruby applications, there's Rails applications. You want to get through to this one, which is getting started with Rails 2.x on Heroku. So then it says, you know, it's assuming that you, I think this is a bit small, isn't it? Make it a bit bigger. It's assuming that you're, you know, Ruby and Rails. It says 1.1.2, we're on 1.93, but it seems to work, so we get away with it. Basic Git knowledge, you know, I think it's tricky. All of these things, basically, you know, the key. So we've done the Heroku login. The critical thing, if you're working through here, is to realize that this Heroku walkthrough is based on the idea that you haven't got, you're creating your own app from scratch, and you're going to create your own Git repository from scratch. The thing is here, for this particular homework, we've already been given the Rails app by David Armando, so you basically can skip this. We're not writing our own app, so you skip that bit. We could be mucking around with these gem things. I didn't do that. I am sort of assuming that Armando Dave got us set up with the right data, but there's slight differences in the database configuration. I think yeah, I ran bundle and yeah. So basically, bundle install, run that. I guess I will need to maybe do the one. You could do that here. Bundle install. Yep. So that, and then this one, store your app in Git. We already have a Git repository, right? Because we did Git clone, and so it cloned a local repository for us. So then, what we do is we do Heroku create, like so, like this. Now what this is doing is it's saying, it sort of connects to Heroku over the network, and it says we want to have an app stack, you know, in your cloud. And what it does is it assigns you, like it's evening dusk. It's got this, you know, very romantic. It basically assigns you an app name like this, like so. And then basically to begin with, there's nothing on there. There's no point in going to that link in the first instance. What you need to be doing is pushing your code on there. So I think, and this is a very, very good tip generally. You know, you could say, right, I'm going to jump into my Rails app and I'll try and, you know, kind of do all of the coding and get all the things done, and then see if I can try and deploy it. Really, you want to make sure that the default setup deploys. Before you start making any changes, and you know that might break things, we've got the basic code here from David Armando, let's check that that actually works on the server. That would be a really good idea. So I'm going to git push Heroku master. So you notice that I'm using git here. This is a really interesting thing that we're doing, is that this git statement is ending up, I guess, is sort of transferring the latest state of the code that we've got to the remote repository on Heroku. You know, we could be pushing it to GitHub, where the source code would be published and other people would see it, but we're not doing that. Here we're using Git, the same versioning system, to push stuff up onto Heroku into the cloud. And you get this instructions back. Heroku's receiving the push. It's okay, it knows it's a Ruby on Rails app. You're basically going to install these dependencies. So you remember these gems, these Ruby libraries. They're various Ruby libraries that we need for this app to run, and the Heroku needs to know what they are. So it's we've got like a little error bundler there, dumping request, dependency API. So it's now going and getting all that source. So it's getting all of these different things: multi-JSON, rake, active support, bcrypt, Ruby builder, you know, all active model, eRuby's rack, all these kind of crazy bits and pieces that the Ruby and the Rails community have created to try and make our lives easier. Tilt, sprockets, hike, you know, where do they come up with these names? Action pack, mime types, polyglot, treetop, mail, action mailer, RL, all of this stuff. You know, active records, that's the one that, you know, handles the map, object relational mapping between the database and the I forgot what it's called, database and the Rails app. There we go. So all that goes past, and JQ Rails. I think it was much faster the first time around. Probably Heroku now, they've got 10,000 students all deploying their things. It's got rather slow, I imagine. That should go past. It's not going alphabetically, is it? It's getting rather hot in here. I think I've got the heating on, and it doesn't need to be. I guess we will pause slightly, maybe, while that comes in. Yeah, and see you momentarily when that's finished. Welcome back. Here we go. Right, so that's finished. All doing that. I think it was only a minute or so. I just nipped off and turned off the heating in my house because it's getting too hot in here. Right, so now, and hopefully there won't be any sorts of errors there. They might come in, it might tell you all sorts of things, but part of the reason why we're doing this all on the virtual box is hopefully, you know, to reduce the chance of errors as we push the app up onto Heroku. And then what it will do here is actually now nicely on Ubuntu. See, it's got, here's the launched app, and we can then go, I think do I just click that and it'll go into, you may have to like do right click and do open link. And then I think here we go. Right, so you'll get this, you know, here's the thing, I opened it twice. No, oh, there's the one that's working, that's one I did earlier. So that works there, that's great. And then you'll be tempted to go like, right, oh, movies. And then you might find, oh no, we're sorry, but something went wrong. And it doesn't tell you what's wrong. And that's really annoying. And so this is like a critical, so after one was the Heroku add keys, that was a critical step where you might have got stuck. This is another place where you might get stuck. And the thing is, if something goes wrong, the critical thing to do here is you type Heroku logs, and that actually shows us the kind of logs on the server of what's going wrong. And I can see here, and it's like, oh, statement invalid. Oh dear, what's going on with? I wonder, isn't it? We can't really see it properly. There. Oh, I'll type Heroku logs again. If you do it with a smaller font size, there we go. Statement about relation movies does not exist. All sorts of things. And I mean, in this case, I know what the problem is. It's, you know, completely. Relation movies does not exist. Basically, what this is telling us is that the database is not set up properly. And in fact, you know, that was, you know, potentially our excitement going here. Let's go and see it. You know, we have deployed the app, but we haven't run the migrations or done the seeding that will create the database and insert the sample data. And in fact, that's, you know, I don't think I'm giving anything. That's the wrong place to go. I wanted to go here and go back to the homeworks. That's right. So what you'll notice here is actually they'll say, yes, look, you know, I've gone off here, got all excited. Basically, yeah, they've got exactly the same point here. So don't worry. You come back here and you need to do this, and we're gonna go back. We're in here, and we're gonna go Control Shift Paste, Heroku run rake db migrate, and what that will do now, this Heroku command, is, you know, it's the same as doing rake db migrate, which basically makes changes to the database locally. We're going to do that on the remote thing, and we're going to get the same sort of information back. Oh look, you know, we've created a table remotely. that's great. If we looked at it now, there wouldn't be anything in there. So if we run Control Copy and Control Shift paste into there, Heroku run rate db seed, that will now seed the remote database with this blank default data. It'll say hopefully that will have run, and then what we should be able to do over here is now if we reload, and so you can click reload there as well. Also Control R is a shortcut for doing that. Oh, there we go. Look, now I think the thing here that's fun. I mean, depending on how much you had to tear your hair out to get to this point, you could see this is really cool. Look at this. Heroku is hosting for free an app for us. Right? We've got a dynamic Ruby on Rails app in there that's working live. There it is. Yeah, you've got a website that you could be, pointing, people at this. You could be running your local baseball club or your soccer club or whatever it happens to be, your sports group or your hobbyist thing off here. It could all be done. I mean, actually, to be honest, given the amount of work and technical things, for most people I'd say, just set up a Google site. That's the simplest way to go. But to the extent that you need, functionality and programming and so on, whatever, there you go. It's all there. So I think that's kind of cool. I hope you might see it as at least slightly cool. Now going back to the homework. Now, of course, this is just the first part of it here. We've got, this is this part A. We're now here, we've actually deployed it. That actually now what they're asking us to do is we're going to enhance this site and change it in a few ways. And they've got detailed description of here, and you want to read this all carefully. But so what is it on the All Movies page, the column headings for movie title and release date for a movie should be clickable links. Clicking one of them should cause the list to be reloaded but sorted in ascending order of that column. Namely, clicking the movie title column should list the movies alphabetically by title. Clicking the release date should do a different thing. So the thing now, this, you might say, yes, well, I've got my app running there, but I don't really know Rails. How on earth am I going to do any of this? Of course, the thing, stay calm. The critical thing here is, I think this is the local one, right? And this is the remote one. So one of the critical things here for this process is to get clear about, we've got a remote app and we've got a local app. And what we're going to start doing first is we're going to be testing things on our local app. So what I'm going to hit up here to go back to, let's run our local app, like so, the Rails server. So then, because if I hit refresh there before doing that, it would just say no, there's no server. So we're basically going to, having to check that we can deploy, we're going to ignore that deploy for a minute, and we're going to focus on our local thing. Here's our local app, and that's still working. It takes some time to wake up when you first done it. Now the interesting thing here is that you can edit the code associated with this and just leave it running, and it will auto. This is one of the lovely things about Rails, and it will auto update. So if we now go, I've got a Sublime added onto my taskbar there. If we now go in, I think I am in the right. Yes, it's in the temp directory. So there's different things that we want to do. What we, I'm not going to show you that. That would be, cheating really to show you exactly how to do the homework here. But I guess I want to show you is what we're asking for. What they're asking for is, mucking around with the main view. So it's saying like when you like this movie title, instead of it being like, remember we can do inspect element there, and I get this thing that there's. Can I move this up so we can see that a bit better? Yeah, we've got this built-in thing. I've pressed in order to get that view. So if I click on the movie title there, it tells me, look, that's HTML body div table t head tr th. That's exactly where we are in the HTML document. I can press this markup panel here, and I can go and investigate. I want to see where we are here. Let's click on that one there. So you can see here, look, that's movie title, rating, release. It's a bit small. You can go and do it in your own browser. What they want is, instead of just these being titles, they want them to be links of some kind. And you click on them, and then that has an effect on the app, which might seem intimidating, but remember, stay calm. Remember, ask people for help. Goodness me. But so the key thing to notice is that this page, here that we're seeing, the index page, corresponds to this HAML file. This is in homework app. Views index.html.haml. So see this place here where this says movie title, this one, this is where we want there to be a link present. And if you look at the rest of the HAML file, you can sort of see that, oh, okay, look, there's a way to generate links shown down here. Even here, look, there's a way to generate a link to something in, this thing. So we can put like equals link to and then instead of just that, we need to have that like this, and I can then put a comma, and then, so I don't know, I'm in this instance, I'm just gonna, like, let's imagine we put like new movie path there. So now if I save that and I Control R and I refresh this page, now look, movie title has become a link, and I've got it linked now to create new movie. Woohoo! Now, of course, this is not what they want for the homework, but I just wanted to sort of show you, what I particularly wanted to show you here was get you started on, you know, changing this Hamel thing so that you know that it's a link to something, and then also what I'll do, yeah, to show you the kind of the debug cycle. This is what's like. You leave the server running in the background, and other things being equal, you can make little changes here. Like I can say movie title, woohoo, like so, and I do Control S. I go back over here, I hit Control R, and I see the results of the change immediately. And that's really important, that you want to get that, you know, cycle down really fast, so that you can, you know, basically see what's going on. The key thing I would say here, in the, you know, you do need to do some editing here to turn these things into links, but you need to work out what the appropriate links to should be. There's more tips on that. If you scroll on down here, they've got hints and advice about how to do that. Other things I would say is, oh, that's my finished one. All right, now I've got really confused. That's the local host there. Is that this one? Is it this one? No, it's this one. That's right, this is the one we're working on. I'm confusing myself. Yeah, so this is the place where we're starting and moving on. You know, you want to look up the documentation for things like link to. There's a particular things that I think are a little bit tricky, you know, as well as adjusting these titles so that they, you know, when you click on them, it resorts the column. You also, it's an example of what it looks like there, you also have to do these things for the grading purposes. So you have to have these HTML elements, like ID equals title header in there. That's an easy thing to get tripped up on. What you sort of critically need to do there is look at, have I got an example here? Is that, well, that's another one I want to see. Let's go back to, let's go here. If you just type something like Rails link to, I don't want to cancel that one, but anyway, there we go, URL helper, jump to, link to, like so. The critical thing here to notice is this, I think it's tricky to find, is the HTML options here. So it's like link to body, that's going to be some text, the URL, and then HTML options. And so when we're doing this link to here, this movie, that's going to be the body of the link. This is going to be the URL, and then there's like in here you can add kind of a hash to say things like where's it gone? Some particular thing it needs to do. Yeah, you need to have that ID be title header, like so. I think it's a little. I think really, you know, this could be, given that that's really needed for the grading system, that could have been set up in the default app, to be honest. But so what this does now is it passes in ID to the TH there. So if I save that and if I rerun the this thing here, and I go in and look at movie title, inspect elements, what I should see there is now it's got ID equals title header in there. So, you know, that will allow their auto grader to work out where to click, and then and you know, check if you've got the list sorting done correctly. So that's the linking, that's the ID thing. The main changes that you're going to want to make are, so this, you know, controller method index corresponds to the index templates. Basically, we need to start modifying this movie.all. We need to work out how to return movies that are sorted in order of something or other, and that might seem like a big kind of not sure what's working, what's not. You can just be doing things in here, or I mean, well, I've got here this link. Oh, that's not the one. This is the one here. This is guides. Basically, if you search for, what did I search for to get to this one? Active record query examples. That's the top hit on Google at the moment. What you want to do is see, oh right, you can do these like find and all and so on. And actually you can play around with them. Another thing you can do, if you don't want to be stuck at that, if you really want to sort of do like the equivalent of IRB tests, is you can, again, Control C to drop out of here, you can do Rails console like this, and then you can just even do things like, we can do like, takes a little while to start up, more coffee, woo! And we can say things like movie find 1, and that's going to find, it's going to do this SQL query on the database, and it's going to bring back the first movie. I can do movie all as we did before. That's what's happening here in the. Oh, I've lost it. It's gone. Movie control. Whee, there it is. Movie all here. That's that thing. So basically, we need to work out some way to return a list of movies as a function of work out how to do sorting, and then work out how to pass in some parameters. Another really handy thing, I will drop back out of here, is, as Armando shows, it goes back into the server, is you can put the debugger in, just run that, you type debugger, it just seems to work. You don't even have to specify hyphen debugger, actually, it seems. But I put the debugger statement in there, and then I go back to my, where's it gone? Localhost 1 here. Let's reload this. That will now kind of get stuck, I think, and you come back here and it says there. So I'm going to get that. Basically means that I'm now, open at this point in the debugger, and I can now sort of do P for print, and I can print out things like what's the params. So I've got like incoming params there, and I can examine the params hash like this. I can see, what's the action, and so on. Or didn't you remember to put a P at the front there, and then you can say basically cont to continue. And what you can try is doing things like, you could say, oh well, imagine that we had, I don't know, something like, let's say order equals title, and then that will stop at the prompt there, and we can see what's the, let's P params. So now, oh look, we've got something in our, like so, we've got something like that. So we've now got something like this available to us. I'm going to Control Shift copy to copy that out of there. Available to us at this point in the code, right? So we know that params order is going to be what we want it to be. That's a way of passing in a parameter here. Maybe we got to somehow work out how to get that passed through to this statement here. Okay, I think I've kind of that's as far as I can go really without kind of answering it for you, but that's all the sort of critical pieces, so then I might say continue. And the nice thing about the debugger is you can do quite a lot of things that you could do at the Rails console. I guess actually, that makes me just think, can we do full, that's an interesting question he just had for himself. So we've got the debugger set up there. Let's hit I will purchase Sublime because I really love it, but not right this second. I'm gonna hit Control R. We should be, I don't know why it keeps on going down there. I want to be back in the debugger here. Can I now do something like P movie dot find? Can I dynamically query it like that? Yes, I can. So actually, so maybe the Rails console is kind of sort of a bit redundant there. I could sort of do things like where ID equals 1. Can I do that? Woohoo! Yeah. So actually, maybe that's the place to stay. Can continue. Remove the breakpoint. So, that's the cycle. So you're going to move through and take one chunk of this, try and get a bit of that working. Assuming that you've got a bit of that working, I've made some changes here. What Armando is suggesting, Armando and Dave are suggesting, is then once you've got something working, what you can do, let's do quick get status here. We can see, look, there's these. I've made these changes in these two files in the first instance. I can now do git commit -a what's it called -m, and I can say something like first attempt. And what this will do is, in the first instance of this commit, we'll put this into my local repository and basically say, okay, that those changes and they're standardized there. That I think by itself not necessarily so useful. Once you may have something, you're hosting it on GitHub, you would then do, I don't think I've connected this up to a GitHub thing, you could then do git push, and that would push that out, and then basically you'd be able to later on roll back and so on. Maybe that's not something to worry about too much at the moment. The critical thing is that you do need to commit these. The interesting thing about Git is it's only committing it locally. It's not putting it to any backup. But in order to deploy this to you know, whatever changes you've made to what it's called, to Heroku, you do need to do that git commit operation. And then if you want to deploy whatever you've God, where's the command here? You basically then need to, so I've made some changes there. They don't actually, you know, make the homework work, but there are some changes. If I want to see those changes now on the remote server and maybe try and get the what on earth is it called? Get the auto grader to try this. I do git push Heroku master. That's going to take whatever I've committed. This -a very important because it adds those files that I've made changes to. You shouldn't need any new files. It's only modifications to existing files for this particular homework. That's going to then push that up onto the remote system, and then it takes a little while. Once it's done, I can then go. So you see, I've made these little changes. Like I've got movie title there, linking to new, and I added that ID in there. If I go up here and assuming that one's finished, it'll probably have got there by the time. I'm going to hit refresh here anyway, and no, not yet. There we go. So it says yes. Now the changes that I made locally have also been pushed out to the remote system. I'm going to refresh now, and we should see, I hope. It's a bit slow on the first time there. There now, movie title. See now, is now a link. So the changes that I've got here are now pushed to the remote server, and now this is accessible to the rest of the world. It's accessible to Dave and Armando's auto grader. You know, absolutely, you know, key thing. So, but of course, that takes a while to push it out there. So what you do is, you know, you develop your stuff on your local machine, you test it on localhost. When you've got it working, then you're all right. You break out of the Rails server, Control-C. You come here, you commit, and you say, oh yes, this bit now seems to be working, using that statement that we had like this, and then you're able to push that to the master. Now, once you've done that, once you've pushed it to the master, what you have to do in this particular homework, as is described, is you need to get your thing like this. You need to grab your I forgot what it's called. You need to grab the name of your thing. You can use it doesn't have to be in this location. You can use the cat function on the command line to just basically cat to a file. Is that the wrong way around? Oh, I always get this is like a bit of magic from the I can Control Shift Paste. I put that in there. I do Control C. And now I should have a file there called submit.txt, which has just got my app's name in it. I hope the character term works there. Anyway, and then the process of submission is here. I need to browse and put up submit.txt and grab that like that. And then, so that was my previous one that I got it all working. This will now have lots of errors because I haven't really even implemented it at all. I've done like one thing. So then what will happen is now Dave and Amanda's clever auto grader will go and it will look at the open to the accessible wide worlds app here, and it will try and do the things that they were asking us to do in the homework. And if we then go back here, oh wait a sec, sorry, I haven't gone to the right. No, that's my it's a confusing thing. So now I need to go to temp homework 2. Here we go. I've got submit.txt here. Yeah, so it's always confusing. Hopefully you should only have one file like that, so you won't have the problem there. That's what it looks like when it all works. I've got them all working here now. So what you'll get here is, it's a request. That's great. So I've got it's checking there. It's giving me 10 points for having a link. Actually, I'm not doing sort by title, but so everyone else is failed. And then you'll get the errors here about the different other things that haven't worked. And so then you kind of go and you say, oh right, okay, that didn't work. We need to then come back. We need to say, right, okay, I'm going to come back to do Rails server. I'm going to look back at my basic app here, and I'm going to say, why haven't I got the functionality that I wanted? That didn't quite do what I expected. I'm going to go back to looking in here. I'm going to play with the debugger, make some changes here. Oh, this should have some more stuff here, blah, 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 and so on. And that's the cycle. That's the cycle. And I think that's. I should check my list. That's the key things. God, this is turning to a really long thing here. But yeah, so we talked about Git, GitHub, Heroku, the keys and the logs. Talked about the Sublime editor, checking the base setup. We've done the Rails server, debug loop. We've talked about deployment to Heroku. I've mentioned the screencasts are all good there. Yeah, I think that is the main things. I guess I would just here. Let's look. So to be honest, this is pretty tough. I would cap. How many hours you're going to spend on this? Don't spend don't not sleep overnight in order to get it all working. Say, how many hours can I reasonably spend on this? Is it 4? Is it 8? Or whatever it is? You know, and cap how much time you spend on this. Don't kill yourself trying to do this. And also, if you get stuck somewhere, don't, as we've talked about, don't, you know, spend 3 hours retrying variations of different things. Write it up in a blog in Stack Overflow. You know, come on Skype, talk to me about it. You know, let's you know, if you get stuck in a place, quickly ask for help, get the message out, and come back to it in an hour or a day. And you know, maybe help is there, and you know, you let it turn over. Don't try not to get too frustrated with it. There's lots of little tricky things in here that can kind of screw you up. I've tried to go through some of them that I think will help. Let's have a look over here. Then, you know, there's a sort of a filter thing here. This requires us to do some mucking around with hashes. There was anything that I was thinking that, again, you've got to add some more of these sort of tags that requires you to look at the documentation for link to and so on. Make sure that all of the other thing, it can be tricky to get. Sometimes you're going to need to have IDs associated with other different bits and pieces. So, you know, looking at the HAML documentation and so on is going to be required. I don't think this one was so tricky. There's this bit on Pastebin. They've got this code here. You're going to need to have like an ID in the form tag. It's another place where I feel like, you know, they could, if it's for the purpose of the autograder, then they could put the ID in for us, couldn't you? But that one, you know, adding some filters there, that's maybe not so insanely hard. This last one is then, you know, making sure that it sort of remembers wherever you click where that goes in. You're always using the session. That's, you know, again, potentially a bit tricky, but yeah, I mean, you know, there's sort of logical things there. I mean, again, I think the trick is to stay calm. Really, I mean, I think that the crucial thing really is to see that this process whereby you can get an app deployed onto Heroku and, you know, make some changes and understand the basic debug loop and start on hacking around with this. If that's all of you achieve, then I'm going to be very impressed that that's, you know, you've hung in there and you've got through it. You know, there's, what do we, you know, in here we're learning more about forms and processing the results, and now we're learning about the session, and that's related to cookies and so on. So there's good stuff there. But I think that's a summary of all the stuff. Yeah, and remember, don't suffer in silence. You know, if you get stuck, formulate a question, ask that question of, you know, of me, of a forum. Ideally, you know, search first for it, then post it into a forum. You know, at the same time, if you're posting it to a forum or blogging about it, you know, forward those links to me through Skype, through email. You know, that certainly can't hurt. All right, that is my, you know, intro overview of how to try and make progress in all of that. Hope that helps. Good luck with this this homework, and after this we can, you know, we're moving on more system analysis sort of stuff, all the behavior driven design. It will be very, very good, and you'll enjoy it and you'll love it. You will want to, I don't know, you may not want to program with Ruby Rails again in the future, but you'll certainly understand the power, I think, that some people can find through, you know, the quick cycle of changes in deploying and so on. So very powerful. All right, that's it for now. I will get blog feedback to you as soon as I can. I just want to make sure you had this to help you make progress on the Rails homework. Right, bye for now.